let's talk about creating the website without using code. So this is going to go over designing your images and manipulating the images so that it looks like we're creating different sections and depth. Essentially adding more depth to the website. And so with what I've done here, as far as my templates that you've likely seen, is I've kept it pretty simple because I want to just give you a nice clean base to work on. And we're going to go through some things here. So we're going to go through some Pinterest inspiration, and I'm going to show you how to manipulate images to, again, create the depth and show that, create ways to make the sections look a little different and just, spice it up a little bit. But again, just with imagery and manipulations within Squarespace and not by using physical code itself. But if you do want to get into code, I'm going to be releasing blog posts to talk more in depth about that. So there are some fun things you can do, but just again, to start off, and I'm sure you've heard me say in other videos, I just want to keep it simple so you can get the site up and running. And then from there, once the site is going, when you have downtime next, you can always improve and make the site more advanced if you want. Okay, so first things first, you can Google it. I find Pinterest is pretty easy to do. It's just basically wherever you want, just search Squarespace templates and just take a look through and get inspiration as far as the colors you might want. If you don't already have a brand color palette and design elements and that kind of thing. But what we're going to concentrate on here is I want to kind of show you my approach I would take if I saw some elements on another Squarespace template that I was like, hey, I'd like to add that to my site, and how do we go about it? So this here might be a good one. So look through this. If you haven't played around with Squarespace just yet, just a quick refresher, it's always edited in chunks. It's always edited in sections. So basically just block by block by block. And what we're going to have to do is just train ourselves to think of how could an image make these sections look different. So sometimes if we look at something like this, this could be an image with just like a card, and that's actually a native, it's actually a native option. It's just, you can do that. But if it didn't show up, or you wanted to do an image side by side, you could just do a text block and then add an image beside it. This one is definitely a native one. It's just a card on the image. So that's nice and easy. Let's go down here. So this might be a good example. Okay. So you see here how normally Squarespace is built in blocks, right? But here it looks like this illusion that the images are, just spreading just a little bit beyond that background. And then here it's got a bit of a kind of a painty kind of texture that goes right there. So it'd be like this whole block plus that painting texture. And then the images looks like they're jutting out just a little bit. So it looks, it's not just confined to specific blocks. It's got a little more depth to it. That's sort of the same that we have over here. And I'll just show you on pages. Created a design test page, and I will add a link to this page. I'll make it a standalone page and add it to the resource section so you can see. But that image there is sort of like this. Now it's not as tall, but you get the idea. So it looks like these images, right, are coming below this main section, but all this is actually just all of this is one background image. And then I put text on top. So you just got to get creative with it. And so you could just do a block of text that spans part of this section and then add one image. And then you can always add an image onto this layer if you wanted. To show you, I see how there's still the blocks here. This is just text here, and I could always add another image right here if I wanted. And then it would hover over top, because all of these three images and this brown section and this is all just one image. It is this. As you can see, it's just one image. See, so then, you know what I mean? So instead of having questioning and going, oh, how do I get these images to layer over top each other? It's not layering. It's actually just one layer of image. Okay. So I know that can get a little confusing, but I hope that makes sense. And so I want to show you the top here. So same idea with this one. Oh, is it, you might think it's two blocks, a block of color and then this image, but this is just one image that I've created, and then with text on the side. And then this one, same thing. It's just not two images. This is one image with a rectangle as a border that just hovers over the side of it a little bit. Okay. And then you can always add, to spice it up, you can add your own textured backgrounds, that kind of thing. And this is just an image block with text. A nice way of doing this too is instead of a heavy textured background, play around with it, see if it looks good. But sometimes just a nice gradient makes it very classy. So again, image with text on the side, and then this one here is just a gradient image. And so again, just looks very classy, nice and simple, adds a bit of depth because there's a gradient, but it's not too distracting as something like this could be. And then the same thing, just an image with text box, but this background is just white background with a block on the side. So just like that, nice and easy. It's just a background. So sometimes you just have to think of like what lives in the background, what lives in the foreground, and manipulating the sections, the top and the bottom of the sections to convey sort of this illusion that maybe the top section flows down into the next section, but it isn't. So let me show you that one here. Is like this. See how this green has the illusion that it flows down here. Now, obviously in the edit section, you're seeing the line, so it's not as convincing, but if I hover off it, see how there from the green into the Gone Are the Days of Traditional Braces, it looks like it's all one. It's because I knew that green sat on top and I knew that this went into the white. So all you gotta do is just make sure that you create the background to fit that same thing. So on the background is just a white background with a bit of a green painty kind of swatch to it. And then that way it looks like this top green portion bleeds into the next, right? But it's still section by section. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just, that's how you manipulate it, especially down here in the bottom. I'll take this off so it doesn't show, but I can move this around. So I'm going to show you here is, for example, if I wanted this white section to look like it's bleeding down into this wood, I would do this. I would just change the focal point of this up a little bit. And there you go. So now if we look at it, see how it looks like. See how this looks like it's bleeding down into there, but it's not, right? At the end of the day, it's still just two sections. So you just have to add a background image that makes sense for this. And so I took this original image because that was what was in this block. I added a white sort of, paint texture here and then a black, because then I could show you if you move that focal point to about here, it'll show more of the top. But if I wanted, instead of this hard line here, if I wanted to look like it was bleeding into there, I would just then change the focal point down a little lower. And then there you go. See, now it looks like that black is part of the next section. And if you want it on both, you just have to manipulate the image so it's a little bit smaller to show both. But anyways, in this case, it's not, I didn't make it that way. I made it so that I can move the focal point either one. So yeah, and then it goes into that, and then so on and so forth. So then I knew that this black section was on top, and I knew this was gonna be white. So this is white with the black swatch, like that. And then same with the bottom. I added a bit of leaves here, some palm tree leaves just for fun, and this black section. And see how it's not peeking out? All you gotta do is just change that focal point a little bit and adjust that. And there you go. So then that looks like that flows into the footer. Okay, so hope that makes sense. And then I'll show you this here. So this one is one thing to know for sure. This will change the game for you. So if you're not familiar with PNG files versus JPEG files, PNG files are it's an image file, but it allows you to save transparencies. So this would be the original JPEG file, right? If I took this image, and this is it here. This is in Photoshop. So I've got all my layers, and I've got this canvas at whatever size this is, and I've got this image here, I've got this image, and I made all that. So then I took out the background, and if I save this as a PNG, then I get this. I get just whatever is on the image showing, that background is completely transparent. But with this same image here, if I save this as a JPEG, it naturally wants to fill in this background as white. It cannot save as a transparent. So therefore it saves like this, right? So again, PNG can save transparent. JPEGs become opaque, so they have a white background to that image. And then I'm just showing you here, I added just some extra brush strokes, just add a little more depth. And that is this image with literally just, I brushed a few here. Put this one, these two behind, I put this one in front, save this as a PNG so that only the pictures and the colors come through that background image. Although it is technically there, it's creating a container for this image. It doesn't show the white, and then this does. So that's the same thing with your logo, which I took off here. But when you have a logo, you want your logo to be a PNG file. Otherwise, your logo will show, if it's saved as a JPEG, it will show a white border around it, and you don't want that. So PNG allows that transparency, and only what you want showing is showing, and it removes the background. Okay? Hopefully that helps. And yeah, so I will link, or I will create this page in the resource section so you can see. But as we go through, again, noting that these are just image blocks, these are just background images. You get a ton of different variations depending, again, these got to be PNGs, right? If it's on a white background, if you want this to show through like this, you have the background showing through. So this is a PNG. Otherwise, this section here would be white, and it would show white all around. So yeah, you get a lot of variations with just simple manipulations, adding blocks to the background, adding gradients, adding a little border around the image. You can totally change the vibe of what you're showing. Layering the images as one background image. And then again, PNG, JPEGs, the difference is there. Showing, background images with minding the color of the top and bottom neighboring sections. You can make it look like it's bleeding into it, or add a line, or whatever graphic element you want, but that's how you make it look connected, even though obviously it isn't. And same thing for these sections and the borders, and so that's how you make it look like it's bleeding over without actually bleeding over. It's just the way the images blend into the next. Okay. And then just quickly while we're here, I'll just show you this. So if you hadn't played around with it yet, on the images, you can click on the pencil icon to make some edits. You can always link any image you want. Make sure you're renaming it so it has a keyword if it's appropriate. And then these are all the options here. So inline just means like, here's the caption. So I'll just type in caption, and it sits there. So you can just quickly describe a little bit about it if it makes sense. And then play with this. This changes it up. So this is the title. I'll just put caption, right? Changes the card, moves to the side. So you can play around. There's a few here. Yeah, this one adds the title. You can add a subtitle, a bigger block if you want, or just in the bottom. So those are some extra options with animations, how you want it to fade in. It's got a bunch of different things. For me, I just keep it as fade in, slide up, or just whatever the site default is. I wouldn't do a lot of like this stuff. To me, that's like a little cheesy. So just keep it as very simple animations. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And so let's just go back to this for a second here. So then now that I've shown you that, when we look at these other templates, you'll notice some of this reoccurring. So this, again, you'll play around with this if you want it to look like it's an image. So you would just know that this brown was your next section, and this could be one whole background image if you wanted, with a bottom strip of brown. So then it looks like it's bleeding into it, but maybe the section actually just starts right here, right? Same thing. This would be a white background with maybe a strip of, burgundy here. So that way it looks like it's dipping down. This could be it too. This could be one whole section. So this could be a whole section from here to here. And then you just add a strip of color. So it looks like the section's smaller, but really it extends out to here. And then that allows the images to overhang. This is nice and easy. You can either just add a space. People have done this just to make it like a little off kilter and just change it up. But this is just probably an image of a line that goes right there, and it pushes down that. So you just have to make sure that formatting is right. If you want these images, these little blobs to be on top, you just add an image as a background, blob on top. And then when this collapses, you just have to double check in your mobile view and add your focal point to where you want, because this is going to collapse in and look a little different. This is the same thing, just an image block, but this image is probably a PNG and then has the, paint swatcher, this blob elements. So the image probably actually comes out to here, but then because it's a PNG, it's transparent, right? So then it has that. Same with this. You can either add physical image block here or put this on the background. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just a matter of creating the section with the images or adding the image to the background. It's, or manipulating, adding multiple images together in one image block. So so for the most part, you can achieve all this. Some of these for sure do use code, so don't get me wrong. It's not like they don't, but I'm saying for like 90%, you can make it look however you want with just manipulating images without having to touch the code, which is, again, what I'm hoping to show you. And just to know, the images here, when you do these backgrounds, something like this or the other backgrounds that I've been showing you, I start out at 2500 pixels wide by 1000 or 1080 high. And so then from there, you just put your information in. And if you do have a lot of text that runs vertically, then you'll have, or images or whatever, the content, then you'll have to play around with your vertical to fit it. But 2500 by 1080 is a good starting point, and that'll give you enough of a span to play around with. So all of these last one too, all these sections are 2500 by 1080 to start, and then you play around to see what makes sense depending on the height of your content. I think that's enough. I don't want to confuse you too much, but I think with these building blocks, the understanding of PNG versus JPEG, understanding of manipulating the background to have elements that match the neighboring, the above or below sections, that'll enable you to make it look like things are bleeding over. And if you come across, if you're on Pinterest or wherever and you're coming across some sections where it looks cool and you're like, I don't know how to make that happen. Again, shoot me a message, let me know, and I can do my best to try to help you out there. So again, just, keep it simple, get the site up and running, make it look good, but then, take your time later on, come back and you can always spice it up. But I think the important thing here is I just want to give you the foundation to get the site up and going so that you can actually start getting your brand out there and making money, right? Okay, be in touch if there's anything I can help with, and I guess that's it for this video. All right, guys, see ya.